There's been a lot of talk lately about how actually ready the PS5 and Xbox Series X are for this impending holiday season. And the main reason for that talk is there's not a lot actually releasing alongside them, and we still don't know their pricing or hard release dates. And so I want to actually examine what games we know are coming out, if not this holiday, are at least slated for 2020 for those systems. Now, this list doesn't look too bad if you focus on a lot of multi-generation, multi-platform releases, stuff like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077. Obviously, all these titles are coming out this holiday season. But when we're looking at games that are exclusively designed for next-gen Series X and PS5 specifically, it's basically 8 games. It's a little more if you include some re-releases that are enhanced a bit, like Observer System Redux and Overcooked All-You-Can-Eat Edition, but as far as original titles being made exclusively for next gen, there are 8 games, and I'm not even sure all those are actually going to come out this holiday season. So let's start things off with one of the kind of safer bets of actually coming out this holiday season for its exclusive system, SpiderMan Miles Morales for the PS5. Now, what makes this a very safe title is that effectively it is a standalone DLC that offers a ton of enhancements, taking advantage of all the power boosts that the PS5 has in comparison to the PS4. Now, this has raised some questions and concerns about whether or not we'll actually see a PS4 version of this game get released, because effectively it is making use of the same base engine and assets as the original Spider-Man game, but as it stands right now, it is slated as specifically a PS5 title launching holiday 2020. More than likely, either an immediate launch title for the PS5 or very shortly after launch. Considering how much fun Spider-Man for PS4 is, this is definitely a title I think a lot of people are going to be excited to pick up. I think there's going to be a lot of people also let down if it does not get a PS4 version, but for those of you that are planning on getting a PS5 as soon as possible, this is one of the big titles to definitely look out for, especially considering it is likely not dropping at a full price point since it is a smaller standalone DLC type of game. Now, to balance out the scales a little bit, let's talk about something that is exclusive to the Xbox Series X and should be arriving this holiday season, assuming there are no surprise pushbacks being announced: The Medium. This is a new psychological thriller coming from Team Blooper, who is responsible for some other recent psychological horror hits like Observer and Layers of Fear, and I absolutely love the really strong Silent Hill vibes that this game is giving off. To be completely honest, even if Halo Infinite was not pushed back to 2021 and we still had that game to look forward to for this holiday season, Medium would still be actually the game I'm most excited to play on the Series X, because I love Silent Hill and I love there's a new game that's really tapping into that same kind of vibe. In fact, they even have the same lead composer from the Silent Hill franchise working on this game, specifically doing the music for its bizarre, crazy-looking spiritual realm. This was one of the games revealed during one of Xbox's showcases, and after Halo Infinite has been pushed back, it's one of the titles that Microsoft has been leaning a little harder into as far as something to look forward to when the Series X launches this holiday season, so it seems like this is one of the safer bets that will be coming out on time. But again, like a lot of these titles, who knows? As far as another really strong safe release for this holiday season goes, there's Godfall for the PS5 and PC. Now, this is a game that we saw a teaser of back at the Game Awards last year, and since then we've been getting a lot of gameplay demonstrations at basically every single E3 substitute that's been happening over this past summer. More than any other next-generation game, we've seen so much gameplay for this title, including what was basically a full-blown tutorial during the last PlayStation event. This is a fast-paced hack-and-slash action game that makes use of looter elements and cooperative play, and if I'm being honest, looks very, very formulaic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are some very formulaic games out there that end up being very memorable experiences because they are able to fine-tune those elements we've seen in other games so well, but at the same time, it's just not the kind of thing that I get super personally excited for. Still though, for how much gameplay we have seen, if there is any next-generation exclusive that we can make a safe bet on making its way before 2021, it's Godfall. Last on the list of games that I feel pretty confident about coming out this holiday season for sure, there are 4 more games on this list that I'm a little less confident in, is Astro's Playroom. Now, this one's a little bit different because it's not a standalone title that you can pick up for any system. Instead, it is a pre-installed game on the PS5. And it's the newest addition in Sony's Astro series, which is basically their version of what Nintendo has done with Wii Sports, Nintendo Land, 1-2 Switch, in that it's mainly really meant to be a fun tech demo to show you all the cool new things that you can do with the new DualSense controller. Adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, the built-in microphone. This is going to be a sort of mini-game style focused game that allows you to see all the things that the new controller can do. Again, this is different from everything else on the list because you don't have to go out of your way to buy it, but look, this is a small enough list as it is, and a lot of times these kind of tutorial-focused games can actually be really surprisingly fun, so here's hoping it is. Alright, now let's talk about some maybes for this holiday season, because the reason why there are maybes come down to two different things. Either it was a game that was announced coming out in 2020, and that was it, without any further clarification, or they are games that make use of the very specific yet also vague wording of launch window releases. A good example of this is the Series X exclusive, Scorn. Now, this is one of the games they showed off during one of their showcases, and it's still a little unclear what this game is, which definitely adds on to the feeling of it's not actually going to come out soon enough. It looks like it's a first-person shooter that makes use of artwork inspired by H.R. Geiger, which is the kind of insane alien stuff if you've ever watched any of the Alien movies. It's that style of visual, which is very creepy and unsettling feeling. I'm very much here for it, and that's really all its initial teaser trailer showed us. We haven't seen any actual gameplay. The game hasn't been rated yet. In fact, I'm very skeptical whether or not this is going to be a holiday release. When I was researching for this video, a lot of people were listing it as one, and I never found a great source for it as far as what the company itself said initially. Eventually, I did find a press release from them after it was revealed during the Xbox showcase, which clarifies that it is planned to be a launch window release for the Xbox. Now, launch window is a wording that can mean different things to different people. I think the kind of standard meaning, which is also what I usually interpret it as, is that 3 months from launch, which, assuming the Xbox Series X is coming out in early November, that means this could be a November, December, or possibly January, even early February release. Holiday is a possibility, and I think both these systems need as many as they can get, but considering we haven't really heard a thing since this initial teaser, I'm not holding out my hopes for this one. Now, a more recent announcement that has the same kind of wording of a launch release window title is Ratchet and Clank, which is honestly, I think, one of the most hype-inducing next-gen titles, because it does a very important thing of not only looking like a very beautiful game and is a new entry in a franchise people love, but it really showcases the kind of gameplay that is possible on next-generation systems thanks to using an SSD that is not possible on an older system. It's not just a prettier looking game, but the fact that it can load whole new areas as quickly as it does means that mid-gameplay you can go to totally different places super quickly, and it's not something you have to experience any kind of full-blown loading screen for. I was noticing during the last gameplay demo there definitely is a degree of buffering because there's all these sections where you're diving through this kind of dimension with mirrors everywhere, and that's definitely a way of hiding that they're loading up the next area you're going to. But the fact that it's whole new areas that fast is so impressive, and it still happens very quickly. After their latest gameplay demo at Gamescom Opening Day Live, Insomniac was asked when the game is coming out, and they used, again, this very specific wording of launch release window. So again, probably sometime 3 months within the launch of the PS5, hopefully this holiday season, because I really do think this is one of the biggest titles PlayStation has to really show off what the PS5 can do. But if it's not during this holiday season, we should be able to look forward to it very early in 2021. Next up is one of the few multi-platform releases that looks to be completely next-gen. Again, there are a couple games that are coming out on both systems and old systems. This one looks like it's all new though, called Paradise Lost. Now, what makes this one a little bit weird is that it was initially announced for PC, and then eventually they opened it up to PS5 and Series X. Their general release date is 2020, but where I'm a little unclear is whether or not that 2020 release date is just for the PC version, with console versions coming out shortly after, or if they're all gonna make it in time for this holiday. Now, there's not a ton of information still out there for this game. There are some teaser trailers and kind of a basic premise that's been revealed. It looks like it is an exploration-focused puzzle mystery game in which, plotline-wise, World War II never ended. This is one of the games that has definitely not been talked about as much for next generation gaming, but I think it's a really interesting premise, and there's going to be a lot more of these kind of third-party titles. It's not all going to be big first-party push ones, and so interested in seeing more information about that as we get closer to this holiday season. And as last one, I'm a little more hesitant to add because this is a very big question mark, but it feels as though it was definitely targeted for holiday initially, or at least a launch window kind of title, which is Hellblade 2 for the Series X. Now, what's interesting about this game is that the original Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was a timed PS4 exclusive that eventually made its way to Xbox One. Microsoft then acquired Ninja Theory, the studio behind it, and then during the Game Awards last year, they revealed Hellblade 2 was in development for the Series X as an exclusive. Now, given how early that was announced, basically side by side with the reveal of the Series X hardware, it would seem as though this game was going to be targeted as an early launch for the Series X, but there has not been a single word about it since then. Microsoft does have more press conferences planned for the rest of the year leading up to the Series X launch. Presumably we'll be seeing one sometime this month since they missed out on August. We're all waiting on that Series S reveal after all, so there is a chance that we'll get an update on that game's current status, but as it is right now, we really don't have any actual idea. Now, there are a lot of games that were announced for Series X and PS5 that have no release dates attached to them all just yet, so it is possible that some of those games could get a surprise reveal as being something that comes out closer to launch, but considering how close we're getting right now, they are definitely cutting things very, very close. Knowing my luck, one of the games I just talked about will get officially pushed back to 2021 once this video goes live, but assuming that doesn't happen, over the next couple weeks, I am looking forward to learning as much more as we can about these next-gen systems, pick them up, and let you guys know what I think.